protecting the Ethiopian Orthodox Church from extermination. This campaign is about violence carried out by the government and its extremist proxies, running rampant with total impunity.
የፈረሰች ነው ቤተክርስቲያኑ የሚያልቁት የሚጎዱት ምናምን በጣም ብዙ ናቸው።
In the 4th century, Christianity took root in the ancient kingdom of Ethiopia. Carved from single blocks of granite, the obelisks of Axum still stand as witnesses to the kingdom where King Ezana embraced Christianity and made it one of the world's first Christian nations. The grim Gospels treasures of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church were written more than 1,000 years before the King James Bible ever existed. As the faith took root, it found its most enduring expression in the cross. The cross is the defining symbol of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. Ethiopian Orthodox Christians wear the cross from cradle to grave. Some tattoo it on their forehead and neck. Many embroider it into their dress. The cross is woven into the rhythm of their daily prayer and Christian life. If the cross is Ethiopia's faith made portable, the church is its faith made permanent, and nowhere is that more astonishing than in the church's carve, not upward toward heaven, but downward into the earth itself. What 60 Minutes called a monument to rare devotion.
Of Lalibela, a monument to rare devotion. 800 years ago, an Ethiopian king ordered a new capital for Christians. On the central plateau of Ethiopia stand 11 churches, each carved from a single gigantic block of stone. No bricks, no mortar, no concrete, no lumber, just rock.
In the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, faith isn't only built, its performed robes flare in color. White for baptismal purity, gold for divine light, red for martyrdom. Chanting unfolds in ancient modes. Guizi Ezel, ere for hours before dawn, not as concert, but as unceasing prayer, drawing earth into the angelic liturgy twice a year at Christmas and at times, Ethiopia's Epiphany celebration, that prayer spills into the streets. This is not worship paired with art. This is worship. That is art. Lived some worn and carried. You have just witnessed a remarkable spiritual civilization. Now that civilization comes under siege. The turning point is Abiy Ahmed rise to power. CNN called him a global pariah. The Washington Post said the man who tore Ethiopia apart. U.S. Senator Patrick Leahy said perpetrator of crime against humanity and genocide. In June 2019, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed gathered some 400 Protestant church leaders at his palace and told them, "I do not want to see the Orthodox Church. I have banned them through a letter from entering my palace and conducting prayers." He has shown contempt to the Orthodox Church on national TV. He accused the church of being a den of killers. This is what he said. "Isn't it right here for round Addis Ababa, where we found monasteries training soldiers? What's the point of training soldiers in a church? What's the point of preparing, killing, and killers?" A military general amplified this narrative, declaring that religious bases would no longer be treated as sanctuaries, and he said, "From now on, the church will be hit." In June 2023, military attacked the historic Debre Elias Holy Trinity Monastery with heavy weaponry, killing over 100 priests and monks. Christian Tetel, a member of the Ethiopian parliament, was arrested and imprisoned in direct violation of his parliamentary immunity for speaking out against a killing during a legislative session. 3 years on, he is still languishing in prison. The atrocities continued with impunity. These are government forces burning the church. The government's atrocities are compounded by attacks carried out by government-aligned proxies, including tribal militias and Islamist extremists.
መግደል አለብህ መገደል አለባቸው ወላሂ ሱማ ወላሂ አርግድለት አንገቱን ልትነሳ ይገባል ቤተክርስቲያኑን ታቦቱን ልታጋይለት ይገባል
This video shows two Islamic extremists forcing Orthodox women and children to rip their cross from their neck. Some of the victims were barely 2 or 3 years old. Some were being breastfed as they cut their cross from their tiny necks. Footage of these acts circulates widely on social media, intended to inspire further violence. Those responsible show no apparent fear of accountability because they expect no repercussion from the government. For some, tearing crosses from children's necks was only the beginning. They went so far as to kill pregnant women, deliberately ending unborn Christian lives. More atrocities were carried out in public Prosperity Party cadres, paired an Orthodox priest through the streets of the Oromia region with a dead black chicken hanging around his neck, an image meant to brand Christians as sorcerers. The priest was paraded in a major Oromo city, passing in front of a police station, while people on the street shout, "Hang him!" Military and police forced people from predominantly Christian regions off buses, assaulting their priests in front of their followers. This is not a conflict between Islamic and Christian communities. It warrants noting the Ethiopian Islamic Affairs Supreme Council is on the record appealing to the government to arrest and prosecute the perpetrators against the Orthodox Church and its followers. The government ignored their appeal. The government is globally condemned, but not confronted. Pope Francis addressed the violence directly in November 2019, saying, "I am saddened by the violence against Christians in the Orthodox Church of Ethiopia." The government's focus and priority is persecuting and prosecuting Orthodox Christians, not holding perpetrators against Orthodox Christians. Recently, following a localized protest over land confiscated from Orthodox worshippers without compensation and fenced off, Orthodox Christian residents dismantled a small section of the perimeter fence. Within 48 hours, police arrested 21 suspects and broadcast their photographs across state media. By contrast, perpetrators of far more serious crimes against the Orthodox Church, including mass killings, church burnings, and forced conversions of Christians, carried out by known individuals, including government proxies, are allowed to operate with full impunity. The differential treatment of Orthodox Christians is just as stark when compared with the treatment of their Muslim compatriots. Under the previous administration, Muslim protesters who had gathered in a mosque and used the holy site as a refuge to mount a peaceful protest were accused by the government of being armed terrorists. Security forces stormed the mosque using tear gas and batons, arrested the leaders, and dispersed the rest. In sharp contrast, when roughly 20 members of the Fano rebel forces and their leader took refuge in a historic church while fleeing government troops, the army unleashed heavy military artillery. They killed over 100 priests and monks, wounded many more, and reduced the historic church to ruins, all long after the Fano rebels had already fled the scene. The U.S. State Department's Office of International Religious Freedom reported that government forces have themselves taken part in violence against Orthodox Christians, including opening fire on a peaceful Epiphany procession. In October 2023, a UN report warned of a looming genocide. In June 2026, the European Center for Law and Justice reported, between May 30th and June 1st, 2026, armed men killed Orthodox Christian civilians in their homes, on roads, and as they fled. Furthermore, they burned churches, including a century-old church, to the ground. In June 19, 2026, the International Committee to Protect Journalists reported the government detained journalist Salsawit Bain-San without charge for posting on social media about the killing of Ethiopian Orthodox Christians in Oromia Regional State, a community known for color, for gold vestments, white robes, and golden and silver crosses carried through the streets, found itself watching its church draped in black and its people dressed in mourning. As documented in the U.S. Report on International Religious Freedom on Ethiopia in 2023, Oromia Region Special Forces and police officers beat Orthodox Christians wearing black in mourning and protest. Government employees who took part in the protest were terminated from their positions. Under Abiy Ahmed, Orthodox Christians are not even allowed to mourn peacefully. In the Ethiopian Orthodox tradition, bishops teach their followers not to grieve. To weep is to doubt God's will. To mourn publicly is considered a failure of faith. Today, those same bishops are crying in public. Weeping openly is not just heartbreaking, it is a theological earthquake. It signals that the community has passed a threshold so extreme that even their spiritual leaders can no longer contain their grief. How much longer is the global community going to remain silent? Condemnation without confrontation is compliance. A 1,500-year-old church, one of the world's great spiritual civilizations, a foundational pillar of global Christian heritage, is at a breaking point. What we stand to lose is not just a building or an institution. It is one of the world's great spiritual civilizations, a foundational pillar of global Christian heritage, a 4-point call for international intervention. Members of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church call for an unfettered international investigation into the Prime Minister's claim that the Church trains killers. Such an investigation is essential to establish the truth and restore the Church's tarnished reputation. A separate international investigation into the government's role in atrocities committed by its security forces and extremists proxies an investigation into the systematic targeting and destruction of over 100 houses of worship by the government in Shigar City. An investigation into whether international development funds have been directly or fungible diverted to forcefully displace Orthodox Christians and churches to create space for the Prime Minister's $15 billion Shaka Palace project. Call for Ethiopians. Our generation cannot stand in silence as a malicious government abolishes a 1,500 years old church. A global day of mourning and protest is being organized, date to be announced. Every Ethiopian Orthodox church at home and abroad is urged to transform its Sunday service into a unified liturgy of mourning and solidarity. Congregants will be requested to attend in Black Ethiopian Orthodox churches from New York to South Carolina will converge in front of the White House. Parallel protests are being organized in major cities across the globe. Pray for us, speak for us, people of the cross.